apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You are tuning to Apartment 5B, hosted by your man, Kill. I got my squad in effect with me today. As always, ladies first. Know everybody is not Porsche. Porsche is out tonight, because whenever I say ladies first, it's always Porsche. Not tonight. We got my homegirl, Q Lynn from Soul Savviness Radio. What's going on?
Oh, everything's going on. Like I told you before we started, you made me put on matte lipstick. I haven't done this since the beginning of quarantine, so this felt good to get dressed up like I was going somewhere.
Hey, that's what 5B is all about. Good vibes, both getting dressed. I appreciate it. My brother Vern out to ATL to close. What's going on, bro?
Man, good to be here. Looking forward to this show. You had me reminiscing like a mug, man. So I can't wait to chop it up about this topic.
No doubt. My brethren, Rel from Philly. What's going on, bro?
You muted, Rel.
Man.
Hey, Rel, you muted.
You muted. Nah, we can't hear you at all, bro. All right, boom. Eddie out of LA, what's going on, bro?
Yo, I'm good, man. Always a pleasure to do these things, man.
No doubt. I got my man Bertrand chopping it up with us tonight for the first time. Me and this guy have been talking for years on Twitter.
Yeah.
So just a blessing to finally get you on, bro. What's going on with you, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm out here in Phoenix, Arizona, living the dream. We hot, but we doing what we do. So I'm just blessed to be out here. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
What is about 112 out there?
Bruh, it was 105 today.
Yeah. That's some
like
hell
that.
temperatures. That's some hell temperatures, man.
You said you're in Phoenix?
Yes,
Bertrand?
ma'am.
I'm in Scottsdale right now.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Are you?
Yeah, I'm there for.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm supposed to leave out tonight. I'm here for business, but yeah, that's cool.
That's what's up.
So you know about this heat.
Listen, if the AC stayed. Listen, I stayed in my hotel room. I stayed under. It got to be 72. Under 72, because this heat is ridiculous. I think I saw Donald Trump's father out in the shade. It's crazy. Because he's the devil, so that's what he does.
I totally concur with
that's
that.
what's up.
You already know what it is with me. We jumping right into it. This week, I was sitting here. I didn't have a topic. I always tell folk God will always give me the topic. It's either God or I'll start something on Twitter. It's one of the two. I always will come up with a topic. My guy, let me get his name because I'm blessed to chop it up with so many people. My man at Crazy Carew hit me, and he was just saying like a lot of music I've been playing and talking about was taking him back in time, and like that sparked it. And it was like, yo, just how music is like a time machine. To me, music is like a photo album. Like, a certain song plays, boom, you know where you was at, who you was dating, where you was in high school, what you was doing, everything like that. So more importantly, just, I always tell folk at 47, I just always want to know the stories behind people's favorites and everything like that. So tonight we are talking about 5 moments in your life, whatever they may be. 5 super duper important moments, 5 minor moments, mixture of both. But what was the soundtrack to that moment and why? Was it by accident? Was that your favorite song? Like what was everything like that? I'll give a quick example. And then we'll go to Q Lynn because I like to always marriage, ladies first, everything like that. This is probably the funniest one because I got married in October 14th, 2000. So when people ask me like, what was the soundtrack of your wedding? Not falling in love, but the wedding. People always think it's gonna be something, some Tony Terry, When I'm With You, or some Baby. Yo, it was MOP Warriors, bro. And this is the reason why. I see Burns' face. But this is the reason why. The album dropped October 10th, 2000. So it dropped 4 days before I got married. So those 4 days, anybody who's been married with the whole shebang, you know, the 3 to 4 days is just a mixture of just running. So I'm back and forth to Philly, getting haircuts, my groomsmen. So all we played, literally even driving to the church, was MOP Warriors. You know what I mean? Because, you know, and again, you know, the bride and the groom are separate, you know, all the bad luck if you see the bride and all that stuff. So it was like literally all me, to the point that one of my homeboys was like, yo, Kill, one of my grooms was like, Kill, when I hear Annie Up, I think about you until you leave. Like it literally, like, so the fact that when you hear Annie Up, that's what you think about, is not robbing people, not Funk Flex dropping 1 million bombs over it, not none of that. But you think of Kill and T getting married, that's crazy. Another one of my groomsmen was like, yo, bro, whenever I hear Cold as Ice, boom, UNT's wet. So just an example of what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's crazy, right, bro? Yeah, Cold as Ice. And you like, man, let me call Kill and find out how UNT doing, you know. But so that's an example. I mean, of course, my wedding day was one of the most important days of my life. And the soundtrack for that was MOP's Warriors. So go figure. Q Lim, what is one of your moments, and what was the soundtrack?
Oh, when I saw this, I was like, oh, he's taking me back to nostalgia, and you got me in my feelings a little bit. I was like, you need to be called Dr. Kill, because you made me a lot of moments I was thinking about. But one that came in mind was when I first, because I'm a musician, I'm a professional musician, and when I fell in love with music, it was in church. Like, typically that's usually how you start in church and you branch out to other stuff. But I would listen to all the musicians, and I was just really wanting to play because I would hear all the musicians in church. And I remember when I decided, I think I told my father or one of my relatives that I wanted to play the drums, because it was like a certain thing to where, like, veteran musicians, like, they had the thing, like, you had the bass player that's been playing for 20 years, the guitarist, and so the drummer, it was somebody my age, like 9-10 years old, and he was great. And so I picked that because he was my age, and if somebody wanted to switch out and play, I'm like, okay, I can take his spot. I really wanted to play the bass, but I just ended up doing that. But long story short, during Christmas, I'll never forget, I told them what I wanted. I wanted a drum set, and I got a drum set for Christmas. I'll never forget it. It's a ruby red drum set. I remember the song the first song I started playing, because I heard a musician play it during church, was Cheryl Lynn's Got to Be Real. And I remember when I was so excited, like, as a kid, it was like, that was all I wanted. So I would just obsessively play that song like 30, 40 times, like, in a row. I had the cassette tape, everything, and I would just keep hitting rewind. I think I popped it, actually, because that's how long I played it. But yeah, Shirley Got to Be Real. That has to be a pivotal moment with me first starting playing.
Vern, I'm gonna let you go, but just give me 1 second. That threw me. I think that's what I did with MOP in the wedding, because when you said church, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get some Hezekiah.
No, bro.
Yeah.
Church drummers know everything else. That's how they get their chops. Because my uncle played drums at church or whatever. And I got a question for you, Q. So that's why when you in church, if you ain't careful, the musicians are how you in the club.
Yes, that's what it was. Listen, you have to understand, my life is very heathenist. So I was a church heathen, even growing into playing in church. So I was sneaking, playing Prince, Erotic City. I was playing UGK. I was playing Too Short. I turned Too Short's Freaky Tale into a gospel ballad. I did all of that in church. So.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
What was the new part of Freaky Tales? What'd you call it?
I just made it a gospel ballad. It was just like I just drew it out to where nobody could tell what it was.
It was preachy tales.
Yeah, it was like a midnight slow jam version.
You up here
BET
chopping?
soul version.
What's my favorite word?
You up here chopping samples in church? Like I just played it differently and then I chopped it up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I learned how to. That's a whole story too. Because when I was 16, 17, I transitioned playing the piano, and I couldn't understand gospel music, and the only way I understood it was playing R&B music. I would play it like intros, 90s. That debut album is so significant to me. I mean, not to jump forward, but I would play that during service, and that's the only way. I'm like, oh, this sounds like Commission, the gospel.
Yep.
And come to find out, they were actually influenced by all their albums. So yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah. I mean, most of those 90s R&B groups owe Commission some commission.
Oh yeah, for sure. Most of the gospel. I mean, the musicians, R&B musicians, they say they were influenced by Commission. That's 100% factual. They were gospel R&B all the way.
Hey Q, did you ever play drums in Atlanta?
I have. It was back in 2007 and 8 because it was around Jamie Foxx's Unpredictable tour. And I don't necessarily, not to bash Atlanta, but it's kind of hard playing for them because they're very biased with just Atlanta music. So if you're not playing some kind of dated song from 2004, they don't really. It's kind of hard to play for them. But yeah.
No, because you look like a drummer that used to play at our church. That's why I asked. Because I'm in Atlanta, so yeah. I don't know her name, but I know she played with music. And some other cats.
Oh, you might be talking about Jay Latoya. I know who you're talking about. It might have been Jay Latoya.
Might have been.
She during that time she was I think one of his gig members. So I think that's who it was, Jay Latoya.
Okay.
Shout out to her. She's dope.
No doubt. Bertrand, what's up? What you got for your first joint, man? What's the memory and what's the soundtrack?
Man, I'm gonna go back to 1986, man. 1986 was the year I started really feeling music. You know what I mean? I'm from Texas. I'm from Houston, Texas. So we didn't have a lot of influence from the East Coast or West Coast. You know, we was kind of, in our own little zone out there in the dirty. But one group I did have a lot of love for was Eric B. and Rakim.
Right.
And Rakim Allah is one of my favorite rap artists of all time. Like, he's one of my favorite MCs of all time. So I gotta go Paid in Full, man. All right. 1986, bro.
What's your favorite joint off Paid in Full?
Paid in Full.
All right.
I mean, I gotta go with the title.
Right. I think the craziest thing about that album is every time they will put out a single, I'll be like, they can't come better than this. Like, it would start with My Melody and it'd be like, it can't get no better than this. Then Eric B. for President would come out. I'm like, it can't get no better than this. Then I know you got Soul. Like, it just kept going to the point that you just had the whole album. You was like, well, I guess this is just, and then it followed up. They can't do better. Here come Follow Leader. Here come Microphone Fiend. Like, it just kept the party going over and over again. And not to say I'm sure there've been other artists that have done that, but that's just so influential to me. How I remember being 11 years old thinking they can't come better than this. Like, because for people watching, hip hop was still young then. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about folk who are older. So there was a time hip hop didn't exist and I was alive. Like, people, my teams were like, Mr. Kill, you went to college without the internet? I'm like, yeah. Like, there's a whole generation of people who don't even know life without the internet. Like, I know life without hip hop. So those Eric B. and Rakim years are so important because you don't really know what you're hearing. You know what I mean? It's literally like hearing something brand new. It's like somebody speaking a whole new language for the first time. And I think that's why they stand out to me so much, because I just keep thinking it can't keep getting better. And then when Paid in Full, the single dropped, it just was like, yo, what? Like, how can? What else can y'all? What they saying? What is it, Vern? The 5 Heartbeats. What is it you don't do? Like, what is it y'all don't do? Like, y'all do it all. Like, everything. So I'm sorry, B. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say I love that album so much, but can we give him a pass for Chinese?
Yeah, we have to.
Get a pass
we have to. Yes, because nobody listens to that.
Okay.
And I mean, keep in mind, at that time, and I tell folk, it was always these times in hip hop where there were different stamps. There was that stamp of time where you just did a song and you let your DJ.
He's a DJ.
You know what I mean? And everybody had those. Now, here's the problem. Eric B was not the greatest DJ.
Woo.
Everybody did not need to let they DJ. And I'm sure Q Lynn, you'll agree to this. Vern too.
Yeah, for sure.
Every drummer don't need a solo. Like
No.
Right.
I mean, Jazzy Jeff deserved, a touch of jazz on Rock the House. Jazzy Jeff deserved that. I don't know if Eric B deserved his own solo DJ.
He did not. You don't have to be politically correct. No.
Right. He didn't. Eric B was a lot of great things. DJ wasn't one of them.
I will say though, Kel, Rakim did a damn good job of hyping up Eric B. Because if you didn't know any better, you would think Eric B was the greatest DJ on earth.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But keep in time, we're still living in that time when, because people. And here's a quick history moment for the people watching who are younger. The DJ was, when you talk about hip hop being founded, the DJ was the most important person.
Yep. Right.
The MC was literally just there to keep the crowd hyped. But people came to see Flash. They came to see Hurt. They came to see Bam. They didn't come to see the Furious 5. They didn't come to see Busy B. That was the afterthought. It was whoever had the most records, they were the ones that people came to see. So that's why we had DJ Jazzy Jeff in the Fresh Prince, Eric B and Rakim. That's why the DJ's name was coming first, because we were still coming out of those times when the DJ's name was the one who was going to sell the show. So, so you're right, Eddie. Like, Rakim did a great job of hyping him up. That's his DJ. Like, yo, I gotta pick you up, because that's what every MC did at that time. You know what I mean? But like I said, every DJ didn't need, just like everybody didn't need a slow jam in hip hop. There was a time when everybody had a slow jam on their song, on their album. That was just the time. Everybody didn't need one. There was a time when we had hip hop house. Everybody had a house song. Everybody didn't need one. The only one I love was Jungle Brothers with My House You. Other than that, I don't want to hear nothing else. So to answer your question, Chinese arithmetic gets the pass, because it was just that track everybody was doing. So it just is what it is. Vern, what you got up for one of your memories?
It is not a hip hop song, but it is definitely an indelible memory. 1986. It was about midnight. I thought my life was ending. We are in the back of a van in my grandmother's driveway, leaving Gary, Indiana. Everybody I know, everything I know, to move to College Park, Georgia. And what comes on the radio, we crying rivers. My grandmother crying, all us. But Holding Back the Years by
Simple Red.
Holding Back the Years by Simply Red is on the radio. And now, if I ever hear that song, I'm in that van in the driveway, in my grandmother's driveway, crying my eyes out, man. It definitely is a timestamp. So yeah, that's my first one.
Simple Red, man. Talk about that for a minute, man, because I ain't gonna hold you. I know that song and that's it. I don't know if you know more about them, but just the school folk. Because again, I'm learning every day. It's a blessing on the timeline. I appreciate the love. Again, whenever I do this show, I'm just thinking it's the 5, 6. It's just us. You know what I mean? Right. People are watching. So again, I always want to educate. So Simply Red, I don't know. I don't even remember a lot about but that song. So do you know any more, or the album or anything? Just to
I think I remember Money Too Tight to Mention is the only other song that I could talk off the top of my head. Mick Hucknall is the redheaded guy. But no, I would be lying if I tried to tell you I knew much more about them than that.
Just go YouTube Simply Red. It's an amazing song, dope song.
He's fantastic. I love Everyday Simply Red. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
All right, good. Eddie, what about you, good brother? Give me a good time, and what's the soundtrack?
Oh man, you see, I could talk about me getting married, but there's actually a couple of songs, and I hope that's all right. But so getting married. So the first one is kind of it's a bad memory, but it's kind of funny thinking back at it, because so we hired our DJ, and we knew we had one song that we wanted to play when we were walking down the aisle. And that was Love by Music Soul Child. And DJ didn't say anything that it was going to be a problem. Yeah, I get everything. Until leading up to it, I don't have that song. It's like, what do you mean? You told us you get everything. I don't have that song. well, what do you have? I have Brian McKnight Back at One. I was like, nah, we don't want that one. He's like, how about X, Y? Like, we rattled off a few songs. It's like, nope, I got Brian McKnight Back at One. So,
yeah, he had one plate, like he had one vinyl, like that's it for the whole reception.
Bro, I don't know. No, he and the funny thing is, like, he was just DJing off a laptop. He was just DJing off a laptop. This was 2002. He was DJing off a laptop. Like, dude, you can't get the song. Like, come on,
download. Yeah.
So begrudgingly, we went with Brian McKnight Back at One, but it was supposed to be Love by Music Soul Child.
So is the memory back at one? Is the memory back at, like, what's the song?
It's kind of both. It's kind of both. It's kind of both. The Love by Music Soul Child, which is still our song, but then that Back at One, that kind of turned it to almost a meme. You know, the song we didn't want, but the song that we got. So.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. The second joint I got is Learning to Drive. This is one of the most important things that I was doing at the time. Now, here's the problem. I started driving stolen cars at 14. So I got two different versions of learning how to drive. I got the hood version of learning how to drive, and then the mother is sitting at 15 thinking, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, trying to learn how to drive.
Please tell both. Please tell both.
Yeah, both come with different soundtracks. So it's crazy when you learn how to drive, you got to get in the car with your mother and act like you don't know how to drive. So she don't know that you've been driving for the past 2 years. Learning how to drive illegally is Kane's second album. It's a Big Daddy thing. Like that was just all my man. My man Scoob would let me drive. His pop had a Bonneville. I have no idea how he let me drive his dad's car. Like, bro, like what? I don't even know how you explain this to him, that if I crash your car, your pop's car, you know what I mean? So, which was crazy. But yeah, we always had It's a Big Daddy thing playing. Another Victory was just like the song that just stands out for me with that. So anytime I hear It's a Big Daddy thing, it just takes me back to those days of being a 14, 15-year-old driving around Philly. And then the second album is 1990. Craig G's second album that most people have never heard of in the world. Craig G was down with the Juice Crew, for people who may not know out there. First album, The Kingpin, was kind of, it wasn't what we expected. It was a lot of hip hop house. Like, he did the flip. Instead of having one hip hop house song, he had like a lot of hip hop house songs, just a little bit of boom bap. But his second album, now that's more like it. He had this joint, very around the way girlish joint called You Are Not the One. If y'all don't remember it, Google it. It's a very positive K, I Got a Man, LL Around the Way Girl type song. And for some reason, I love that album. So whenever I hear that, You Are Not the One or Give It to Me with Master Ace, this is probably 90. Yeah, it came out in 1990. So those two albums, and it's funny that they're both Juice Crew members, are like my history of driving. So anytime I hear those two albums, takes me back to learn how to drive illegally and legally. Q-Lin, what you got up next, miss?
I'm gonna keep this one light. I remember specifically in 1998, I was always with my older cousin, and she was popular in high school, and so when she would be in step practice, I had this. I don't know if all your listeners are up on Jesse Powell, but Jesse Powell, he came out with a sophomore album, Bout It, and he was one of my favorite singers in the world. Like, you couldn't tell me he wasn't like Luther Vandross, like that Luther Vandross level. Like, that's what he was. And so I remember I had bought the cassette tapes first time, because when I was in school, I would sell mixtape, I would sell cassette tapes. I was selling them. If you wanted a full album, it was $5, and if you wanted the mix, because it was hard, like, mixing stuff off the, if you know, like, radio. Yeah.
Man, you sound like you GQ and Juice. You sound like you going up in the like, yo, I need that new version of mixtape.
Listen, it was a whole lick, I'm telling you, in school, and so I would sell those, and I didn't like asking for my parents for money, and so my dad, he was like, well, you got to do this chores. And I didn't feel like doing chores, so I'm like, I'm just going to make my own money. And I remember I had the Jesse Powell, I was selling in school, and then every day after school, I would just have that tape in. And I think Are You Missing My Love? That might be the one I had on repeat a lot. I would just keep rewinding it on my cassette tape player. But yeah, Jesse Powell, Are You Missing My Love? It's a great R&B album. Any R&B heads out there, you should really get I think it's on all the digital outlets. You can download it or whatever. But yeah, it's a great album. But yeah, Are You Missing My Love?
Did that have the song You on it?
Yes.
That's the one with,
I was just about to ask.
That's the lead single.
I love you. Like that's
yeah.
what I think about when I hear Jesse Powell is that song. Like I love that joint. So basically, if you was on Twitter back then, you would have got suspended for copyright infringement since you're done.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For everybody. Okay.
We're not even get to LimeWire. It wasn't even LimeWire days. That was before LimeWire.
LimeWire.
All you LimeWire heads.
Right. All right.
All those
you got
viruses we got. Right.
All right. No doubt. B, what you got up next, man?
Man, I'm gonna go 1993, graduation from high school, bro. The song that was in my mind was Diggable Planet's Rebirth of Slick, man. I mean, it was everywhere. It was crazy. I'm cool like that. I mean, you couldn't turn on the radio and not hear that horn, that intro.
Right.
And I mean, it was a dope song. I mean, you know, I dug their style. You know, people thought I was kind of weird being from Texas listening to them, but I didn't care, man. I loved them, and I loved the song. And to this day, when I hear it, it just makes me think of 1993, man. Graduating from high school and on to bigger and better things.
Tell me this, bro, because being from Texas, and I've heard this before, like my man Nick would always talk about how he's from Atlanta, and he'd be listening to Daylight, and all his friends would be like, yo, why you listening to that weirdo music? Like, how was that for you? Like, how did you gravitate to that? Because, you know, and this is why I love doing this show too, because you get to hear examples from people from all over. So like when like you just said, like people from Houston thought you were weird for liking that. Like what put you against the grain from everybody else? You know, was it just your ears perked up? Like, I guess two questions. What do you think? Why do you think some people back home or in Houston didn't like that and it was weirdo music? And then why do you think you gravitated towards it?
I think people back home didn't understand that, you know, they wanted everything to have that bounce, that upbeat bounce to it. You know what I mean? That, you know, that up tempo. That's what, you know, everybody wanted. Then they wanted to slow it down, chop and screw, as you know. But one of my favorite movies was Mo Better Blues. And one of the songs that put me on jazz was Mo Better Blues, the title song from the soundtrack. That song blew my mind. So from then on, I gravitated to all jazz-infused rap. You know, Tribe, Diggable Planets, all them cats, man. I loved all of it. So, you know, up until then, I wasn't really up on jazz like that because, you know, my mom, she played R&B. You know, it was Anita Baker. It was, you know, I mean, Intimate, you know, those type of cats. But nobody was really putting me on the jazz. And so being a dude that was kind of musical, you know, I was in choir and all that stuff in high school. And so I just gravitated to different styles of music. And once I heard Mo Better Blues and Wesley Snipes and Denzel, you know, rocking it out, I was like, oh, okay, I feel that. So once Diggable Planets came out, they was right in line with that whole flow. So nobody was really rocking it, but then for me, I just gravitated to it because, like I said, Mo Better Blues had a profound impact on me from a musical standpoint.
No doubt, bro. To me, one of the dopest soundtracks ever, one of the dopest movies ever. Vern, what is your favorite word for Mo Better Blues, man?
Audacity.
Audacity. I didn't know what audacity meant. Senator Williams said it. You have the audacity. I always tell folk, if you've never seen this movie, this is a top 10 favorite movie for me.
I think it's aged the best. It aged the best out of all the Spike Lee's joints, man.
Yeah. Truth be told, probably this in school days for me. But I mean, my mom's is a jazz musician, so I grew up in a jazz household. So, and then on top of this, when I first got into beats, really trying to make beats 92 freshman year at Morgan State, I didn't have no records. So since everybody was sampling jazz, I probably sampled every song off of here 3 and 4, 5, 6 times. Y'all heard all my early beats, you'd be like, oh, that's that horn from Mo Better Blues. Oh, that's that horn from Mo Better Blues. Oh, that's the bass line from Mo Better Blues. Like, I ain't had nothing but this soundtrack to sample. So yeah, just again, be great pick, great movie. If you haven't heard the soundtrack, please check it out. One of my favorite songs Harlem Blues, Cinder Williams.
Yeah,
I never know what happened to Shorty, but yo, I can listen to that song on repeat forever. So if you've never seen it, watch it. Also hear the soundtrack. Vern, what you got up next, good brother?
All right, 1990. Just graduated from high school. The graduation party is at backyard of Winston Brown's house. His mom is one of our teachers, but she was mad cool. 2 songs, I'm gonna splash them together. The Humpty Hump and Poison. I'm gonna do 3. Wow. Humpty Hump, Poison, and En Vogue's Hold On To Your Love. Because you remember, it started off with the acapella. Then when that bass drop, I mean, bro, we was, man, woo! I give goosebumps thinking about it, man. Those songs just remind me of good times, and it's funny. Like, we got a cookout coming up in August. We make sure we play those joints, man, because it takes us back to those good memories in high school, man. So yeah, Humpty Hump, Poison, and En Vogue, Hold On To Your Love.
No doubt. With that being said, shout out, rest in peace to the legend Shock G.
Yeah,
man. From Digital Underground, you know, such a huge influence on hip hop. You know, and the sound of hip hop and the fusion funk, the funkadelic sound into it. The Humpty Hump, BBD. I mean, what can you say about Poison? That thing still goes as hard as it went 30 years ago. Right now, like, you literally can still. I walked into Cold Stones last night and they had Poison on. All Cold Stones was rocking to it, young and old. Like, it still goes hard. And what was your third one, bro?
En Vogue, Hold On. Yeah, man.
That right there. And then when LL flipped it for Boom and System.
It's my top favorite song.
And X-Clan used it too for FTP.
Yep. So I mean, just that like you said, the whole Jackson 5, you know, Who's Loving You intro was just crazy, and the Shorties, they was bad. En Vogue was just a whole thing in itself. Again, young folk, if you guys have not heard the album, listen to En Vogue's
Born to
debut
Sing
album, Born to Sing. I thought I had it down here. It's in the attic. But definitely, Born to Sing, one of the dopest albums. Slow Jams, come on, don't go.
Woo!
Don't go. Waiting on You. That was on the extended.
Hey, man.
On the not the bruh.
Man,
Bruh.
several of those songs made the tape. And I think y'all know the tape I'm talking about.
It had to.
To get the draws tape.
Yeah.
The draws tape.
And it's funny because shout out to my man Champ from high school. He came up with the name 90 Minutes in Timberland. So 90 minutes of knocking boots. So that was like, you know, it was like raw state. 90 minutes in Timberland, baby. That's what it is. Eddie, what you got up next, good brother?
All right, so this next one takes me back to I was probably 11, 91, maybe early 92, but I want to say it was like late 91, right? So we used to have, you know, house parties, you know, all my family was close, you know, in New York, right? All my family was close, so we, you know, go over to, you know, all my aunts and uncles. Like, we, you know, had a lot of cousins my age, so we always hang. But, you know, house parties, like, it'll be a lot of like salsa music. It'll be a lot of freestyle. If you're not familiar with freestyle, it's like Lisa Coat Jam. I wonder if I take you home, but it's a whole genre of that, you know, that's freestyle. So it was really repetitive. So a lot of times we just go and play our own stuff. But my uncle had the banging system, and he also had Black Sheep, Choice Is Yours Revisited. So whenever we went over there, we used to have him play it and have him run it back and run it back again. And we always go crazy for the engine number 9.
Hey, Eddie, that's what I'm finna say. You got to get down on them hunches.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Like, bringing down, like, I'm sure we had some neighbors, like, coming up, knocking on the door. You're all jumping on the ceiling. Yeah, but yo, man, that was good times, man. But I always, you know, whenever I think of the house party, I always think of that song in particular, because that was always our time, you know, the youngins, you know what I mean?
No doubt. For a quick sec, pause for the cause. Apartment 5B is sponsored by So What's the Scenario game. This is one of the funnest hip-hop card games that you can play. Check them out on sowhatgames.com. Use the promo code Apartment 5B. You get free shipping, but definitely had to shout this out. I always forget to shout this out at the beginning of the show and wait till the end. So definitely get this. We got episodes of us playing it, and it gets real violent, y'all. So just be prepared to yell, be prepared to curse, be prepared to say what the fuck, like man. No, like I've literally been like, nah, I'm done. I'm not even gonna play no more. Yep. So it's the equivalent of a black folk game. If you want to play, you know how it is with spades, and somebody renege, and you like, I'm done. This is the hip hop version of spades right here. So check this out. Promo code Apartment 5B. The next memory I got is moving into college. Freshman year at Morgan State, 92. I'm going to Baltimore from Philly. I know some folk. One of the reasons why I went to Morgan because there was a lot of Philly folk that I knew. But the album that everybody was playing was Redman What. This joint dropped. What was this? Dropped September 22nd. So of course Morgan started September. Some people had it earlier, whatever. This is all that got played. You go from dorm to dorm, every car that pulled up, just everything. And then this is also the time, Chronic, How to Roll a Blunt is when everybody is smoking weed now. So of course Red's How to Roll a Blunt was getting all the play. This is when I'm from Philly. Everybody like, oh, need your Philly blunt. So it was just like this, and it's so crazy because I always talk about how music brings people together, because there are still friendships that I have to this day because of this album. Like it just started with the what's your favorite song, and then just sparked into another conversation about hip hop, or if you in somebody's car, we need that Redman tape. Oh, I got mine. Like, so just this album was just reminds me of freshman year. Again, friendships. So many friendships have been made about this album. Probably my favorite song on here is probably Blow Your Mind. I still love that song. I'll say this: Watch Your Nuggets with Eric Sermon. Oh, jam for you. Everything. I could just sit here and keep naming them, but I love this whole album. So that's it, freshman year at Morgan State, 92. Q Lynn, what you got up for us next?
Oh, this one is musician related, because it's a thing, like we get the struggling, most musicians get the struggling musician stereotype, and so I was getting in a transition of wanting to do it full time, because I had friends that were in the business and they were pretty much just throwing me bones like, hey, come to the studio and do this, and the third. And mine just like Tim and Bob or somebody is like producers, like high class, and I'm in there like trying to figure it out. And they just say, hey, come in and fill these parts in the song. And the producer would say, hey, I want it like this, and the third. But I wasn't necessarily like taking it seriously. And when I started out jazz and classically trained, so I was listening to a lot of different jazz records. It was from like Nancy Wilson to Thelonious Monk, and specifically Nancy Wilson's Angel Eyes. Angel Eyes is a jazz standard record, and like Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Sarah Vaughan, and they all have versions of that jazz standard. But for some reason, I couldn't connect to any of those because there was so much going on with because I played the piano, and so I was trying to learn the piano parts, but it was difficult. And then the trainer, he was giving me a bunch of those records, but for some reason, I connected to the Nancy Wilson Angel Eyes, and her voice. That's what made me really grow as a musician. Because as a musician, you have to really pay attention to the singers. Certain gigs, you have to listen. You have to take your cues from the singer, especially live show. And so when I was like, oh, the arrangement is following her voice. And that's when I started figuring out voice variations in terms of harmony and melody. And she could carry like a melody like crazy. And I was like, oh, that's what she's doing. And it made me really hone my skills as a musician. But I think Thelonious Monk's, I think it's a 1964, I think it's called It's Monk's Time. That album, oh my God, I just religiously just was obsessed with it. Just learning every facet of it. But yeah, I would go with Nancy Wilson, Angel Eyes.
All right, no doubt. B, what you got up next for us, good brother?
Bro, I'm gonna go to 97, man. That's the year I graduated from college. Got drafted. Was blessed enough to get drafted to the NFL. You know what I mean? And but more importantly, getting that paper from school. That was the biggest moment. So I'm gonna go in spring of 97. But I gotta go with Storytell, man, by Big. You know, that song was everywhere. It was crazy, bro. I mean, you couldn't go nowhere without hearing Story to Tell, man. I mean, it was just one of those, just closing your eyes and listening to him paint that whole picture, you know, and you know, then to find out who it was really about later on, that just blew my mind. So
right,
you know, just being a big fan, but then you know, just hearing that song and like to see how people really could like live it out and like, okay, all right, grab the knapsack, hit the door. I mean, grab the keys to the 5, call my home. I mean, you could just see it. Like I could just close my eyes right now and I could just see it. So that was one of those, you know, and it was, you know, just having that double album, man. It was crazy. But Story to Tell was the one that stood out for me.
Yo, the funny thing about another dope pick, I think the craziest thing about that to me is that, one, like you said, the storytelling is phenomenal, number one. It's also, I think, the only hip hop song where he tells the story twice. He literally raps the story, and then he tells you the story, and you're still interested. Like you're still, you're not like, oh, this nigga, we know what happened. Like we're because now he's telling his homeboys, and it's like we're still listening. Like we're his homeboys. Like we don't know the end of the story. Like we're on the edge of the seat. Like so, that's, to me, one of the first times that's happened. The only other time something similar to that has happened is from my recollection is Light's Paper Thin, where Light tells you the whole story, then the beat continues to play and you can still hear the ad-libs in the back. You know what I mean? And I think that's the only song that's ever done that, where you hear the whole song and then the drums, the beat keeps playing for you to be able to hear the ad-libs. Same with Big, the first time you're hearing somebody rap the song and then tell you the song. But I think what you just said is really the icing on the cake of who the song was really about. Because it sparked, when you hear it, it sparks all this controversy of who's he talking about. So I remember years, I mean, living in Atlanta, living in Philly, living in Maryland, everybody has a different, oh, John Starks, it's gotta be, you know, it's gotta be this person. And I remember no matter where you went, everybody said it wasn't Mason. That was like the one person, it was like, oh, it ain't Mason. That ain't the one it happened to. So to find out years later it was Mace, God bless the dead, was just mind-blowing again. You know what I mean? So the song is just dope on, like you said, so many levels. That's just crazy. So
the Twitter detectives were hilarious on that one, man.
What happened? I ain't even up.
I'm saying like the Twitter detectives, even before it was like finally revealed it was made, like people still talking about it all these years later, and you know, just deducing, you know, acting like a private investigator, deducing all the facts, like, well, he was this height and they played this game.
Right. And here's the funniest thing. Here's the funniest thing that a lot of folks didn't pick up on, but he says the game got rained out. It's a basketball game. You know what I mean? So that's the other funny part. Like the game got rained out. No, it didn't. It didn't get rained out because it's in a Madison Garden. Like it didn't get rained out. Like you know what I mean? So just the funny. But I think it's like one of those. It's funny you said that, Ed, just about the Twitter detectives, because that song is so incredible that you have detectives. And again, from somebody who makes music, that's all you would ever want your music to be. That somehow, that some way, people are still talking about it years later. That people are still trying to deduce. I was talking about showing Native Sopranos, so everything on the timeline has been about the ending, and everybody's different philosophies about did Tony die, you know, and everything like that. And that's just a testament to great storytelling. That's a testament to incredible writing. That the Sopranos ended 10, 15 years ago, when people are still like, no, he didn't die. Yes, he did die. And you know, so the fact that this came out in 97 and it's in 2021 and it's still such an incredible song. And if Fat Joe did not, I forgot, was it Fat Joe, whoever said who it was, we'd still be trying to figure out who it was 30 years later. So just a testament to how incredible Big was as a writer, and things like that. So great pick. Vern, what's another one you got, good brother?
All right, I got an album that stretches memories. All right, so I want to say it's 92. Me and my boys, Bread and Water, have our group. We're trying to get on. their mom had a marketing company, and she was going out to LA for some kind of convention. It was like, we're gonna go too, so we could try to get on. And my sister was heavy in the choirs and stuff in Atlanta, and we knew Q. I know you know Aaron Lindsay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So his brother Tim plays keys and stuff.
Yeah.
And my sister knew him, and he came through their house and like, man, yeah, we out in LA, and we doing it. If y'all ever come out there, look me up. All right, about a month later, ring. Hey, Aaron, we out here, and this is my first plane trip too. So that's another. Oh, the album is "Sons of Soul" by Tony. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh
okay.
My God.
Okay, so ring. Hey, we here. And so he came to the apartment. I mean, to the hotel. Picked us up, took us to where he was. He's doing it big, but he wasn't as big then. But it's all good. He a Toyota 4Runner, I want to say, or a Land Cruiser, and we rolling through LA at night. It's beautiful, and Sons of Soul album is on. We get to the apartment, and he hooked it up where we got to go in studio with a Motown artist. I got to kick a verse on the album that never came out, but it's all good. I felt like we was big time. I'm in a big studio writing a verse to spit for somebody. They ordered food in. I'm like, okay, this is how I want to live. Nothing ever came of it. But from that relationship, we get back to Atlanta, and Bernadette, the drummer from Climax, knew Tim, and so she hooked it up. We in a condo, and with Bernadette and Vinings in Atlanta. Tim and Bob got a condo right next door. Staying with us was this girl, Shawnee Baby. She's a drummer. So everybody trying to get on. We in there writing songs and all this kind of stuff, bumping at that album. I always tell the story. I drove that week when we stayed. My car didn't have brakes. So we taking Bernadette to the store to get some food, and I have a stick shift, so I'm slowing down by downshifting and pulling up the emergency brake.
You out here being Fred Flintstone, bro.
Right.
It's crazy because the condo was on the hill too, man. But so God was watching over babies and fools, man. But that was a great experience, and that album takes me back to the LA part and coming back and writing and you know, all that kind of good stuff. So Sons of Soul, Tony.
Such a dope album. And you know, at 47, I can't remember anything. What's on Sons of Soul? The last album was House of Music. Sons of Soul is Anniversary, right?
I'm trying to think. I think so.
Vern, is Sons of Soul Anniversary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a dope album. I got an actual memory to that album. When I first heard Anniversary, it blew my mind. Like, again, it's so crazy. Just like the big thing or the light thing, after Anniversary plays, they play the whole, you know, you get the strings and everything like that afterwards. Because I think the OG Anniversary is like 9 minutes long or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. And he riffing at the end. Yup.
I remember being in chemistry class at Morgan State with my headphones on, not paying any attention to anything, and just listening to Anniversary on repeat over and over and over and over and over again, and failing chemistry. So that's my recollection of Sons of Soul, was failing chemistry because I could not stop listening to Anniversary. Eddie, what's one of your next memories, good brother?
Okay, so June of '98, I graduate high school. 4 days later, I'm going into Marine Corps boot camp, right? So why 4 days later? Like, I knew that if I took the summer and I was going to enjoy the hell out of myself, I wasn't going to want to go. You know what I mean? I was committed to doing it. I was like, all right, let's make this short. Boom, 4 days. I go so I don't talk myself out of it because, you know, I felt like it was the right decision, right? So do boot camp for 3 months, get out, get my, you know, little, whatever it was, 10 days leave to see my family, back again, Marine Corps combat training. So this is what, about September, October '98, and the soundtrack was Outkast Aquemini. Like, wow, Outkast Aquemini, man, because you gotta remember, like, I'm coming from New York, and you know, I had the mindset like, New York is dopest, when it comes to rap, hip hop, all that, right? But you go into the Marines, like you meet people from all over, you developing friendships, they putting you on to stuff, whatever. Like in boot camp, maybe not so much until the very end, when you actually get, the last couple of days. But once I got to Marine combat training, you're actually Marines at that point. So, they're not treating you like grunts or like, whatever we call that at that point, we're in boot camp, we were like the lowest of the low. They didn't even treat us like real people. So, we're all talking about music and people were bringing up that Outkast album. I was like, yo, Outkast. I was like, I remember, that Elevators joint. Like, so, yo, amazing. Like you already know, but man, that was all that anyone could talk about. Like, forget anything else that came out. I want to say like Jay-Z might have dropped an album around that time, or whoever. But
that time frame was when it was one of the biggest days in hip hop because it never happened. Jay dropped an album, Tribe dropped Love Movement, Outkast dropped Aquemini, Black Star dropped their debut album,
right.
Their return album with Pooh Bah with everybody back together called Foundation.
Right, so, exactly. But yo, for everyone that at least I was around, like I said, it was a diverse group from all over the country. It was all about Aquemini. Like everything else didn't matter. Like, right. So that was a dope time. Of course, Spody Odie Dopalicious, like that repeat many times. So. Yeah. The
funny thing about that album, Ed, if you remember, when we were in LA and we went digging, and Eddie was like,
when
"Yo,
we went to Amoeba, when we went to Amoeba,
and Eddie was like, "Yo, pick up your favorite album." I had to pick up Aquemini. Like it just this album did so much for me because it opened my ears outside of boom bap. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is R&B music to me. It's like Bertrand said, yo, this is just 90 minutes and something. This is just something to throw on when a shorty come over. Like I was not just sitting in my house listening to that. But the mixture of D'Angelo's Brown Sugar and this album really made me open my ears. Because like you said, Ed, you listen to Spody Odie, that could have been an R&B song. That could have been a neo soul song. You know what I mean? Right. When you listen to Liberation, like it's just music on here that just opened my ears up. You know what I mean? And it just really made me start to want to listen to more than just boom bap, MOP, Bucktown, just all
from the
stuff.
Intro, that Hold On Be Strong intro, man, just straight from the jump. Like you already knew what it was, man. And I mean, even
on Return of the Gangster,
Gangster,
I mean, come on, bro, like. That's 97, and dog, that's still what I'm explaining to parents now in 2021. Like, you got enough time to up here stand this nigga rapper you don't even know. Nigga, take your kids to the park. Do something with your kids, man. Like, you on Twitter arguing with J. Cole niggas, man. Don't you got a daughter? Nigga, get off of Twitter.
And you know what I mean? Like, the other thing real quick before Vern says his piece is, New York cats couldn't even front on it because they had Raekwon and Slick Rick. Yep. You know what I mean? So, they were bridging the gap. They were kind of joining it all, and it was dope, Yeah,
so we bring up Spody Odie. I was going to talk about a memory. The first time I stayed out all night, bruh, it's crazy. We went out at like 9, 10. We went to about 2 different parties, and we ended up at Charles Disco and Lounge on Simpson Road. That's who 3 Stacks is talking about. That's the club he's talking about. Bro, we had to park. We risked our lives, man. We had to park the car in the projects like it's somebody's by their front stoop and walk to Charles. And dude, like the girls, they were harder than the dudes, man. it was crazy, and so it was not unbelievable fights breaking out. I mean, I'm talking about, man. I'm from College Park. I mean, we got some grime, but nigga, we on Simpson Road in Atlanta, right next to like Chapel Forest. The Goody Mob talk about the traps. And so when I hear Spody Odie, it takes me all the way back to there, man. So that's what when you mentioned that song, it took me back.
Yeah, man, just an incredible album. And like you said, even New York, even up north, couldn't front on it. You know what I mean? Which was crazy because I was talking to somebody on Twitter the other day and they were saying how folk up here weren't feeling Outkast. And I said, dog, maybe I was in my own little zone. But yo, the girl I was dating at the time had Southern Playalistic. I used to have to borrow hers. You know what I mean? So there were a collection of folk who were feeling Outkast. You know what I mean? But I mean, I guess maybe as a whole. But I think one thing about Outkast that a lot of people don't talk about is how they've grown with each other. Like Outkast to me is the equivalent of the Cosby Show. And what I mean by that is, as a child, I watched the Cosby Show through Theo's eyes. You know what I mean? As an adult now, I watch the Cosby Show through Cliff's eyes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Of being a parent. You know, and you got to see them grow. You got to see Outkast start off with Benzo and Beamer and Players Ball and all. You got to see them grow to a point where I think they're the only group in hip hop that would lose fans and gain fans. Because I know a lot of my dudes from the street in Philly stopped messing with Outkast after ATLians. Once Andre started wearing wigs and football pads and all that shit, like my hood dudes was like, yo, I'm done with your crew. Like I know people, diehard hip hop heads that have never heard anything after ATLians. Have never heard Equipment, have never heard none of that. You know what I mean? So, but they keep selling more and more records. So they lose fans, but they gain fans. And not too many hip hop groups can say that they lose fans and gain fans. And I've never been one for awards. Y'all know me, but these mofos did win Album of the Year. Not Hip Hop Album of the Year. No, Album of the Year. You know what I mean? So that's a testament to just how dope Outkast is. Rel, good to have you back in effect, good brother. You might as well give us 3 of yours on you know, just give us 3 real quick.
So I don't want to throw the flow off real. Let somebody else go. So one of mine is crazy. Yeah.
I started out with a sad one.
No, this one ain't sad. This is all right. I'll get to it. All right, so
you almost got killed again, man. Your mom.
Nah. So
you done stolen a car again?
Nah, I ain't still a car. But this one, you know what I'm saying? I was me going my first year in college, and I was in like a summer program in college. So, you know, coming from Philly, I'm going out to Baltimore to, college. And, college is just like eye-opening, you know what I'm saying, coming straight from high school. So I'm there for the summer program. And during the summer, like some of the upperclassmen, they like stay there during the summer. Like, you know what I'm saying, they don't go home. So I had met a young lady who was a senior. I played basketball. So she was on the basketball team. She was from Canada. She was a senior. She was probably like the baddest chick on campus. You know what I'm saying? And me, I wasn't trying to holler at her. I ain't figure I had a chance. You know what I'm saying? So towards the end of the summer, we had our my first college party. You know what I'm saying? So I went to the party or whatever. And, if you know anything about Baltimore, they listen to like that club music. And so they, them parties is crazy. So this is crazy. So I get back to my room and I'm listening to the Infamous. You know what I'm saying? I'm just laying down listening to the Infamous. And Shorty came into the room. Just out of nowhere. And we, started talking or whatever. And, okay. Yeah. And it was just so crazy because during that, the Infamous was playing, and you know what I'm saying? Like who?
Survivor the fittest.
Yeah, right.
When you hear survival of the fittest, it means something totally different to you.
Totally different, man. And it's like, you know how you have a young lady over, you ain't listening to Mobb Deep, you know what I'm saying? Temperature rising, right. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like a monumental moment in my life when it comes to women. It was like 24. I was 17, 18. I was, you know what I'm saying? And I'm listening to Mobb Deep. And I just was sitting, and I was just like, I told my man, he was like, "Yo, what's wrong with you?" I was like, I was listening to Mardi before she came in. That was the soundtrack. Yeah, that was the soundtrack for the night. So that I always, yeah.
Titles are gonna have a different meaning to it, like "Give Up the Goods."
Right.
You got a whole new eye for like everything, man.
You know what I'm saying? That's one of the most
parties over. Tell the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That's the last song. So it's like parties over.
Parties over.
Now,
you know what I'm saying?
I feel bad that BBC and Winans record came on during Shuffle one time. I thought that was odd. You keep going. All right, so play. You just let it play, sure. Now I feel bad about that story now.
Yo.
That's funny.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah, that was crazy. And one more I got you know, my music coming up, the music I got, it came from, you know, your parents, my older cousins. So my mom, you know, was she didn't listen to no hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It was all Aretha Franklin, Shaka Khan, but she also had me listening to stuff like Sting, Tears for Fears. It was just like a good, but not a lot of hip hop. No hip hop, right? And I just remember the first time, and this was big for me, that I got her to listen to something and she actually liked it and she would actually listen to, and it was I was playing Life After Death in my room, and she was coming in to do something to get out of my room, and she heard, I want to say it's I Love the Dough or More Money. One of them had a sample that she was like, oh, I know the original. I think it might have been I Love the Dough. You know what I'm saying? And she listened to it, she liked it, and she just kept listening to it. She took my CD, my double CD, and she
mom's jacked you.
Yeah, and she was really like feeling this. And she had like songs that she liked, favorite songs, and it was like big for me because she never, like, the whole hip hop thing, she didn't mind me listening to it, but that was never like her thing, you know what I'm saying? And it was like some of the stuff, like when NWA came out, I had to like sneak and listen to that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So for her to like that album, it was kind of big for me, and it kind of opened up more because she started to like other hip hop acts, you know what I'm saying, other albums. So that's my other story.
That's dope. Since you talking about moms, I just pulled this one out. Billy Joel's The Stranger. This was like one of my mom's favorite albums. So like anytime, like, you know, if me and Naomi are driving, like she has certain songs that of course remind her of me. And she's like, one day she was like, yo, what album, you know, reminds you of Granny? And I was like, The Stranger. I was like, call her. I said, call on the phone and ask her what it would be. And of course, she was like The Stranger. For folks who don't know, Billy Joel is one of the illest ever. This album used to freak me out because I'm a shorty. I'm like 5 or 6. I'm not realizing this is a mask. I'm thinking this nigga got 2 faces. Like this album cover literally scared me crazy as a kid. But so many great songs in here. Moving Out, Anthony's song, The Stranger, Just the Way You Are. If y'all have never heard Just the Way You Are, just YouTube Billy Joel, Just the Way You Are. I mean, just a beautiful song. So, you know, that was a great alley-oop right there, Rel, from moms to another moms. Is like, this right here will always remind me of just everything, from everything moms did for me, just everything. If there's one album that I could just say reminds me of my mother, is this. Definitely, if you've never heard it, definitely go check it out. Q Lynn, what you got up next for us?
Ooh, I love this question that you posed because I was like, it's so many moments I've had. It's mostly centered around being a musician, but I remember one time, it was like several years ago, I think Kendrick the Family Soul had dropped Everybody's Hustling. And I remember I was getting ready to move from Oklahoma City, because I lived in Oklahoma City for a little bit, and I moved because I couldn't find any. It was just mostly church gigs, because Oklahoma City isn't known for, it's mostly for like arena tours. Like if you get like somebody like T-Pain or something, they'll go to the Thunder Arena, but it wasn't like actual like venues. I didn't know anybody there to get those, so I was just working in church gigs. And I'm like, well, I could just move to a little part and be closer to Dallas. That way I could get more gigs. And I remember the night before I was getting ready to move, I packed up everything, and the only thing I didn't have to put downstairs in my car was the TV and some other little stuff. And I remember, and I would always stay up in the middle of the night, but that for some reason I went to bed early. Woke up the next morning, somebody broke in my car, stole all my stuff. It had everything, my debit cards, credit cards, everything. I didn't have. They even stole my stereo. It was the only thing that was working. I drove a hoopty, and so the only thing I had was just the clothes I had. They just shuffled through all of it, and I remember thinking, "Damn, like this is awful." And I had a gig to go to in Dallas, and I was going to cancel because all I had was $20 on me, and I was like, "Well, I'm on a full tank of gas, and it's like I'm from Armo, Oklahoma. It's like Armo, Oklahoma is between Dallas and Oklahoma City. So if you go I-35 north, you're heading to Oklahoma City, and if you head south, it's like the same hour, right? So it might be like an hour, close to 2 hours to get to Dallas. So if you go south, you go into Dallas. And so I'm like, well, I got a full tank of gas. If I stop in Ardmore, my hometown, it's going to be on a half a tank. And the $20, if I stop there, I can fill back up, go to the gig, and do the set. And it was crazy was that I had all this stuff because I had to deal with canceling my credit cards, debit cards, like they stole everything. And so when I got to the gig, I was so focused on like playing like well, I wasn't even thinking about that stuff anymore. And the crazy thing, the promoter came back and was like, "Hey, you want to do another set?" And so we ended up doing 2 more sets, like 14 songs, and I ended up making double my rent. The money I lost, I ended up making double.
Wow.
And all the way there, it was like 2 hours to get to Dallas, and the whole way I was playing Kindred to Family, Everybody's Hustling, because they had a line in the song. It's called "Always Trying to Make $1 15 cents." It's the hustle in you that keeps you confident. You keep the pedal to the grind, and you gonna get to where you get to where you're going. And I just had it on repeat, and it was the whole time I was driving to Dallas. That was what I was focused on. So, but yeah, not to make it sad, but yeah, it ended up being working out for me.
I mean, that's a testament of how music speaks to you. Is why I'm always on Twitter talking about like, yo, you ain't gotta like everything. Music speaks to us all different, man. You know what I mean? And that's the beautiful thing about it. And music helps get you through.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that right there, like you said, you may have had another song on and you would have may have turned around and went back home. You know what I mean? So
it was definitely contemplated, right?
Right. So that was the right song for you at that time. B, what you got up next, good brother?
Bruh, first of all, let me just say to my man Vern, I still don't trust the big button to smile. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go to June of 2000, man. My daughter, I became a father for the first time. My daughter was born June 12th of 2000, and one of the songs that was out there was "Rest in Peace" to my man Black Rob. Whoa, that was killing the music air, back then. So, every time I hear that song, man, it always makes me think of my daughter because, first of all, the name of the song pretty much described me becoming the father for the first time.
Right.
Whoa,
like, whoa.
Here I am with a daughter.
Talk about it.
I'm a father for the first time, and it's a girl. You know what I mean? Because I didn't grow up around girls. It was just me and my brother, and so that was a trip. So holding this life, this little tiny life in my hands, and she looking at me like, "Well, what you gonna do, bro?" I mean, and that song, "Whoa" was the perfect song. It was the perfect soundtrack for me being a father for the first time. So shout out to rest in peace to Black Rob.
Yeah, rest in peace to Black Rob. You gonna say, Var?
Man, I got a picture of my baby girl, and I'm holding her, and she looking at me like, he's like, "What you gonna do now?" She's like 2 days old, and I'm like, "I gotta do something." Yeah, so I feel you on that one, boy.
Yeah, man.
It's real, bro. It's real.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing, one, rest in peace to Black Rob. Again, I'm telling folk, we're losing way too many of our MCs at an early age, to health issues. Me and Rel always talk about how these MCs are like superheroes to us when we were growing up. You know what I mean? And you think they're I don't even know what the word I'm trying to describe.
Invincible.
Thank you. I'm about to say indivisible. I'm indivisible. I'm saying
with liberty and justice for all. Yeah.
But And it kills me, man, to just see, so many of our people, we shouted out Big. It's like rest in peace, Big. We shouted out, now you shout out Shock G. It's like Shock G. Now we shout out Black Rob. And it's like rest in peace. And it's just like, yo, man, and I'm always telling folk like, yo, I always tell people, either pay now or you're going to pay later. When you pay later, it's always going to cost more. So folk can go to the doctor now and figure out what's wrong with you and get it fixed. You can pay later when you die a painful ass death. Because a lot of folk think, oh, well, I just won't find out if I got cancer and you drop dead. Nah, my nigga, it don't usually work like that. You're going to go through some pain. So it's like you're going to get there one way or another. Why not take, the easier way? But the other thing about Woe that always tripped me out, it reminds me of the Benjamins. And the reason why I say that is because they're very slow-tempoed songs. And you seldomly ever find slow-tempoed songs that are club bangers. Like, you throw on Woe, everybody's going to lose their mind. You throw on All About the Benjamins, everybody's going to lose their mind. And you can't dance to either. All you doing is two-stepping or just, right. So that's and it just, again, making music, it's just always shown me, just make dope music. Don't try to follow the formula of, oh, we need a club bang. Okay, we need something 108 BPMs and we need this and we need that. And just make dope music, and if it's meant to be the club banger, it'll be the club banger. I always say people with MOP, when they had to join with Jay-Z over the Rocky sample, and this is probably 97. That's on paper, that's supposed to be a smash. Because at that time, people are sampling stuff that people know. Everybody knows the Rocky sample. We got Jay-Z on here. This is going to be it for us. No. Then they come back and make Annie Up, a song about robbing people, and it's their biggest song to date. Like, again, just make dope music. And if it's dope enough, it will get banged where it needs to get banged. So what was it?
I mean, that was the era of the tunnel bangers, you know what I mean? Like, some tunnel bangers, like, ain't nobody was dancing. It was, just a mosh pit, basically, like a hip-hop mosh pit.
But I mean, you still had, and I'll never forget when Buck said this, and I Got You Open remix, when he said, not too underground to make it stop when you mingle. And it was like, I remember hearing that line and going into the studio back in college and be like, okay, we got to make something that it don't stop the party. You know what I mean? And it's also a testament to how dope Black Rob is, because for him to just come up with the whole Woe thing, like, that's what did it. Like, as much as I love the beat isn't what made that song so big. It was the beat and what Black Rob did with it, because if Black Rob isn't saying Woe every 2 seconds, it don't hit the same. You know what I mean? It don't hit the same. If he just spitting and you Premier scratching the chorus, that's a totally different song. You know what I mean? It was what Black Rob did with the beat that made it what it is. So, just always amazed me that that's really a tunnel banger and it's slow as hell. Vern, what's another one you got, man?
Yeah, I froze out for a second. Did you call me?
Yeah. It's all
right. So we in this section. Y'all remember on Pursuit of Happiness? This is the vacation session. All right. So it's 3 or 4 different songs, but they have different phases of my life and vacations. So
pause for a second. I never saw Pursuit of Happiness. It seems too damn sad. It's just like one of the movies that just seems sad.
It's not that. It's just, we'll get to the portion where he gave his last $5. You're going to have a Hebrew tear come down. That's probably the saddest part.
So explain to me, what are you talking about, the vacation? What's it called?
The vacation portion of my life. So on Pursuit of Happiness, he had different phases. This is my running out of money phase or whatever. Okay. But anyway, all right. So the first family vacation we went on was to the Tennessee Aquarium. We stayed in a motel so close to the highway that when the trucks went by, it would shake the room. We had an actual key to the room, and the tape that we played on the way to Tennessee was "Who Is Jill Scott," and so that takes me there. All right, so the vacations get a little better. Fast forward, I would say 4 years. We driving to Florida to get on the cruise, and the day before I bought the Gnarls Barkley album and Corinne Bailey Rae, and we just bumped those down, and I think we cruised to Freeport and Nassau. Now, fast forward to the not so struggling stage. So the 4th of July weekend, we flew into Fort Lauderdale. We stayed at the Doral resorts. You know, that's where they had the Doral golf tournament, Tiger Woods and all them stuff. So I got to play on Doral. And then we stayed there for 2 or 3 days, and then we got on the cruise, went to Grand Cayman Islands. We walking and we see Shaq behind the Ritz-Carlton about to go snorkeling. We talked to him. We went to Jamaica, had a grand time. But when we were in Miami about to get on the ship, Here I Am by Rick Ross came on. And I got to go back. So the first cruise we went on, when I put the bags down in the room, I started crying because I was like thanking God, because I remember the first vacation when we in a motel, Fleabag Motel. And so, but now we get to Here I Am. Hey, bro, it's what? Oh, you want that? All right, cool. You want that? So it's like how life elevates you if you just stay with it and stick with it or whatever. So who is Jill Scott, Gnarls Barkley, and Corinne Bailey Ray, and then Here I Am by Rick Ross.
No doubt, that's dope.
Very dope.
2 takeaways I got from that. Number 1, a touch of jazz and Jazzy Jeff, Old Dillis, family, 10% of all future proceeds, because that whole Jill Scott album is a Dilla bite. I remember getting the sampler in the mail and being so excited, like, yo, Dilla getting this R&B money right here. You know what I mean? So when I got that album and I looked at the credits and I'm like, a touch of jazz and David and Val, you know, Vidal Davis and all. I'm like, oh man, y'all dudes rape Dilla. I mean, you listen to music, Just Sunny, that ain't nothing but Dilla all day. So that's my first story. 2, Vern, what I love, what you're saying with that story is what I try to teach my teens and my parents in the community. There are phases to life. Mm-hmm. And the thing that happens is a lot of people just want to get to the I'm balling phase and they want to jump past everything else. And you can't do that. It's almost like cutting a line. You know, maybe you get away with it for so long, but eventually God gonna bring you back because you got to go through those phases. And because without those phases, you don't have the testimony. Vern, I'm sure you have a testimony that allows people to learn from you, and that's what God calls us to be. But we just can't. So all the young folk, like, you don't have to get the Benz first. That doesn't have to be your first car the second you graduate. If you got it, by all means. But I'm talking about, I know folk who want to get the Benz and know they can't afford the Benz. You know what I mean? So take the steps that you have to do, and I get it. We want to get there fast, but there's so much of what you said in that story of how you grow and how you appreciate it. And there's a piece of appreciation that comes with, and we all heard it, you know, oh, you spend your mom's money, you spend your dad's money, you don't appreciate it as much as when you had to work for it and when you had to put in the time for it. So young folk, just be, you know, mindful of the phases that you have to go through. And you know, to me, sometimes this generation, because they can skip them, they can't handle hard times. Right. Or because you've been through the hard times, God forbid, if you had to go back, you could survive them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because when the housing crisis came, bro, we went from, man, we already had a house. We went and bought another brand new 5-bedroom house. It was just me, my wife, and my daughter. I bought 2 cars. Man, when the housing crisis, my income dropped like 60%, and we had to move back to the other house. And I talk about this all the time. You know, eating $5 Little Caesars was a splurge, bro. But I knew how to do that. I don't want to have to do it, but I know how to do it. I'm not going to jump out the window because I know God took care of me then. He's going to take care of me now. And so you're so right about that, man.
It's so funny, and I don't mean to get off topic, but I just feel like there's a good time for folk to hear that. You know, it was this show on TV. I forgot the name of it, but Ted Danson was on it. Long story short, he was like doing some white collar stuff, and they want to take everything. And he said, you can take everything I got, just don't take my land. And nobody could understand, like, what do you care about the land? He was like, I built the business before. I can do this again. You can take all the businesses, but I need the land to build on. So, and that's what, like, because even as a kid, I'd always be, as an adult, like, why would you ask God for wisdom? Like, bro, ask for the money, ask for this, ask for that. But the older I get, what I try to pour into my kids and my mentees is that the wisdom can always get you the money. If you just get the money, you're going to spend that up. You ain't going to be able to replenish the money. But the wisdom is going to be what you need. So that's the thing where, because we all have our seasons.
Yes.
We all got to have them seasons. You're going to have some good ones. Seasons of life, just like seasons of the weather. The only difference is we know when it's coming. We can prepare for winter because we know when it's coming. We know, okay, it's about October, November, time to start getting the house ready, get it winter right. In life, you don't know what's going to happen. You just wake up one morning and God forbid somebody done passed away. Or you wake up one day and God forbid you done lost your job. So we don't know when the season's going to come, but those seasons are going to come. So all that to say, Vern, great testimony of being able to show the phases of growth, of being able to do that. And I think that's why some folk are we're battle tested. You know what I mean? We've been there and we understand what it takes. So we don't want to go back, but God forbid if we have to, we still know how to survive. Eddie, what's another joint for you, good brother?
All right, so this one, I guess you say it's kind of related to the whole vacation thing. I believe it was one year we went to Wildwood, New Jersey. They had like, kind of like, for me, I felt like it was Coney Island on steroids because, Coney Island had Astroland Park and they had this other rinky-dinky or Wonder Wheel Park, right? It's weird. If you ever been to Coney Island, they got like these, it's not just Coney Island, it's like these different parks that are owned by different folks, right? And different rides, but it's really like a big carnival. It's really what it is. Because a lot of these are like independently operated, right? So going to Wildwood, New Jersey, they had kind of like two kind of somewhat theme parks with roller coasters and all that stuff, but they also had like the carnival games. So I remember because this was like the first time I ever won a carnival game. They're rigged for you to lose. So I want to say it was some of the rings on Coke bottles, right?
Right.
So I actually won, and I was like, whoa. So I'm looking like, what are the prizes? And they had like a bunch of different cassette tapes, and I was like trying to figure out what I was going to pick, and I wind up going with it was TLC's debut album, Ooh on the TLC Tip. And I remember there was a lot of tapes there, a lot like I didn't know anything about, but that one, it appealed to me. Like, I think I might have heard the one song, I Ain't Too Proud to Beg, but looking at the cover on that tape, how they were dressed, with the jerseys and the hats backwards or whatever, and all that, like, it really appealed to me, me being into hip hop and R&B and all that. So, put it home, I had my Walkman and all that, and, just loved it, definitely, rest in peace, Left Eye, love that Left Eye was like rapping on several of them songs, love, T-Boz's voice and all that. But yeah, man, I think, it was dope. And, when you win something like that, obviously you feel like you're going to get the most out of it. So I played the hell out of that tape.
Yo, the funny thing about that, bro, I feel you about winning a carnival game because we were at some pizza spot, and that game with the claw, like off Toy Story?
Yeah.
I played that I won a teddy bear, and y'all would have thought I just won $100,000. Like, because I had never, like, I've lost so much money during those years. And I don't think enough people talk about TLC. I don't think enough people talk about this album. I always talk about when we say we were outside. If you weren't there, you may not understand how important that album was to music, because nobody was doing that. And that's what folk got to understand when it's one of those reasons why I'm always like, you just had to be there. Not saying you can't appreciate the music. I'm never saying that, but I'm just saying to really fully understand it, you had to be there because nobody was doing what TLC was doing. I Ain't Too Proud to Beg. Basically, it's 2021. They like, yo, if I want to ask for some dick, I'm gonna ask for some dick. Like, this is 1991, okay? Yep. That's a nice way of saying it. But that's what Ain't Too Proud to Beg and walking around with condoms on there. This was unheard of at this time, man. Like, you got girls like talking like this, T-Boz's haircut with the sideburn, like that stuff was all, nobody was doing that. You know what I mean? And when you grow up in a time where hip hop is all you know, it seems like everybody's doing it. Again, I was outside when there was no hip hop. So this is the stuff that makes albums like this So incredible. Hat to the back.
Man, that's my joint. That is my joint.
Hat to the back. What about your friends?
What about your friends?
What about your friends? Yeah.
Yo, you, baby.
Baby.
There's actually a movie centered around that song. What about your friends? I think it had the girl, whatever. I forgot the actor's name that was in Saved by the Bell. She played Lisa Turtle. She started. I think. Yeah. That was a good movie too when it came out. But yeah.
What were you gonna say, bro?
So like you said, had to be there, brother. Listen, this is 91 Atlanta. We went to high school with Dallas Austin. KP went to school with us, and KP was in the baby video. Bro, that was like, man, okay, this kind of thing is kind of real. The music was like 1 or 2 degrees separation. For the music industry, that's when Jack the Rapper would come down, and I mean, we would go and see Fife and all them, and it was like, okay, Atlanta is building something, and we know people that know people. So yeah, 91 TLC is very important to the growth of the Atlanta sound and LaFace, for sure.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's how we get the Southern Playalistic album, because they had the Christmas album. We always talk about it or whatever. Yeah, and that's what the jump off was from, man. So yeah, without that because matter of fact, that was Dallas's group, and organized, did Waterfalls later on or whatever. But that's Atlanta. Then I can't speak of it now because I ain't in it like that. But man, it was like everybody wanted to help everybody get on. And
that's the thing that I've always said I loved about Atlanta when I moved down there in '97 is that the vibe of Atlanta is if I'm eating, you eating too. So instead of me Brody in this whole project, Dallas, I got some work over here. JD may say I need help with it. It just one thing that I always loved and felt about Atlanta, and like you said, I don't know about now, but back in the '90s was we doing this together. You know what I mean? So yeah, incredible album, man. Great pick, Ed, because nobody talks about this. I mean, years. I mean, you got T-Bar. I mean, you got a Young Chili, Left Eye, Dallas Austin, Dark Studios. Like people don't talk about Dallas enough, man. You have to do a salute show to Atlanta. Yep. You know what I mean? And what y'all have done down there. Ralph, what you got up next, good brother?
So I had my daughter. When I was 19. You know what I'm saying? And it was like Bertrand said, the whoa, like man, like I was. First of all, at 19, you know what I'm saying, I couldn't raise myself. Like, you know what I'm saying, like to be responsible for another human being. Like I just couldn't believe. Like, you know what I'm saying, I was scared out of my mind. And then it's a girl. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all that stuff I was doing coming up is like, okay, now I'm gonna sit you down real quick, give you a daughter that looks just like you. So, so me and my daughter are close. You know what I'm saying? But I just remember this one time where, you had those times that you remember when you spend with your child, like, and it's like, all day. Y'all here, y'all doing this, and y'all bonding, and you have that certain thing like that was just for me and her and nobody else. So what it was is for some reason I was playing Raphael Sadiq Ask of You, right? And in the song he would say, I love you, Deja, right? Well, my daughter's name is Asia. So she was probably like 5. I would always sing that part, you know what I'm saying? But I would say Asia, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? That day, you know what I'm saying, is when I started doing that. And she just loved the song because I was putting her name into the song. And we went to the mall, went sneaker shopping. As you can see, I'm into that. We went and hung around my friends. We went out to eat. You know what I'm saying? It was just a day I spent with my daughter, like the whole day. And that song is like something that me and her had, like, that wasn't like with her mom or her and my mom, her grandmother. It was me and her, that thing. And to this day, like, that's like a little special little thing that we got. Because I would sing that song, that part, but I would replace the Deja with Asia because her name is Asia. So that song sticks out to me. So that
how does she spell it?
Asia is so crazy. You know we gotta spell it crazy. So she spell you know we gotta spell it crazy. You know she ain't spell it the regular way.
It's a silent Q in it.
Almost. She spelled her name Asjah.
Okay.
That's not. I like that. That's cute.
Yeah, like that. So
me, bro. I done seen so many names. I'm like, we gonna stop. We gonna give black folk one apostrophe per name. Like you can have one apostrophe for no goddamn reason with this kid's name. What were you gonna say, Bar?
No, my baby sister's name is Asia, but it's AJA, and she's named after the Steely Dan album. So
that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, that's who Kendrick Kendrick's wife is named after the album too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My favorite album.
Well, what I loved about what you learned, B said too, just about the bonds with your daughters, man. You know, and it's so incredibly important. I was at I've been in this management class, and I just graduated today from it. And I was talking to some people out there who are educators, and you know, I was just telling them how it's our girls who I'm worried about right now. I mean, our boys are I'm not saying I'm not worried about them, but our girls, the stuff that our girls are going through and struggling and seeing with right now, it's almost on some old EPMD never seen before. Like this is a whole new world that's going on down here. So, you know, I just commend all three of y'all for being great fathers to your daughter. Eddie, of course, you have Gray, but, you know, just about girls, just how important that bond is. One time I brought Nate to my teen center, and we got various handshakes, and I told her I loved her. And one of my hardest girls started crying. And I was like, what's wrong with you, Kay? And she was like, you told your daughter you love her. I'm like, and she was like, nobody ever told me they love me. And I was like, hey, shut up. Don't tell me nobody ever told you. And she was like, you could see the pain in her eyes of it being like, nigga, I told you, ain't nobody ever told me they love me, you know. So it's just a testament to say, man, just important. And how Rel said, you need something with your daughter. You need something with your son. This isn't about if you're with your child's mother, y'all married, y'all divorced, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You need something that you two share and that you two have. Especially with our daughters. I'm really preaching tonight, y'all. I don't know why I'm preaching.
Hey, bro, you like, hey, just go with it, man.
But you know, and I always tell people this, and it's a crazy story. It's totally on topic, but it's just here. So I take Nay out on a date. She's gotta be 7 to 8, and I'm like, look, this is how a date is. I'm not hanging out with you. I'm showing you how a boy will come and take you out on a date. Like I'm like, yo, he picks you up. Go to the movies, or you want some popcorn, no, we sit in the movie. It's one of them, you know, the relaxed reclining shit. So it's Naomi on the end, me. It's a young white dude, his girlfriend, and her little sister. So they're like teenagers. And this is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. This is like freaking, you know, Toy Story, one of those things. This is 12 in the afternoon. And the lights are going down. And I just hear the chick saying, just remember who will do this for you. And this chick is giving this dude head.
Oh, wow.
At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, during Toy Story, nothing but kids, and your little sister, who's probably 10 or 11, is right there. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? And she jumped up like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't do it. And, you know, they got up and left the movie theater. And you know, the blessing was, you know, Naomi's just looking at the trailer. She's not paying any attention to anything. But I always tell people I don't believe in coincidence. That it was no coincidence that the day I take my daughter on a date, not to hang out, but a date, that this is what God shows me. And I think the most heartbreaking thing was the girl telling the boy, remember who will do this for you. So when the mother girls won't suck your dick in the movie theater, I'll do it. And it was just such a sense of, yo, this is where our girls are at. And this ain't a black or white thing, because I've told the story and people are like, who cares? They were white. Who cares? They're our kids. Like this is somebody's daughter here who's doing this in front of her little sister. What's her little sister gonna think of? Okay, this is what you do. So it's just so important that we take those time to have them daddy-daughter dates and, you know, all of that stuff before you can pay now, you can pay later, but you gonna pay. You gonna pay. Yep. So whether you paying for your grandchild's clothes, okay, you gonna pay. So, and when you pay later, it always costs more. So just salute again to everybody up here for being the great dads that you are. And I appreciate y'all Rel, you just gave yours. My last joint is my senior year of high school. Vern, you will love this choice because we have argued over this plenty of times, and I have finally said, you know what? I am wrong. Why can't I find anything over here today? It's Boys to Men.
Oh, yeah.
Fully High Harmony.
Yeah.
I find it. I don't know. My CDs are just everywhere today. But that joint came out April 30th, 1991. I specifically remember that day because I took the SAT that day. Let me explain to you something about killing the SAT. I was like Ricky and Boys in the Hood. Like, it was like, I'm just trying to get the minimum score to get into college. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to get no 1,600 and no, I just need a 750 to get into Morgan State. I got a 760. So it was just like, I had stressed about the SAT. After taking the SAT that day, I went to the record store, brought Cooley High Harmony, and I swear that thing just never left, you know, my tape deck. Like, that's 91 is my junior year, so it's literally April of my junior year, but it just never left. So whenever I hear Boys to Men, Please Don't Go, you know, no matter what it is off that album, it takes me back to my senior year. And Vern and his wife blessed me and T with tickets to go see Boys to Men down at the National Harbor. And for years I've had the Who's Better, Joe to see Boys to Men, all those battles. Yo, Boys to Men still sound incredible. They still sound incredible.
Impeccable.
They still put on an incredible show. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have told me like these cats have been doing it 30 years. The show is incredible. Wanye is just Wanye. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I shared with Vern, I got my hands on the stems of I'll Make Love to You. And when you're looking at the stems, like for people who may not understand the studio, a lot of times you get punched in. So, you know, the singer may sing the hook, they stop, then they come back in with the verse. People get punched in sometimes throughout the song if they can't really do the whole thing. Yo, Wanye from the bridge to the end is one take. Yep. That right there, that's where I just gotta say, bow down and say, yo, you win. Y'all know me. I got no problem saying I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Y'all win, because that's incredible. You listen to I'll Make Love to You by Boys to Men and start from that bridge to the end, and that's all one take. That's incredible. So, Cooley High Harmony, that's my senior year of high school. That's what always takes me back. Q Lynn, what is your last memory and what's the soundtrack for it?
Oh, this song, it's definitely pivotal because there was so much going on at the time. It was like over a decade ago. It's Bob Marley and the Wailers, Soul Rebel. And the reason why, it was such a journey. I picked two of the hardest careers in the world to do for a living, being a music journalist and a professional musician. Because at the time when I was wanting to be a journalist, everybody was telling me not to do it because newspapers were failing. They were like, where are you gonna find a job at? Because everybody's, getting fired, this, and the third. And so I'm going to college doing this, and then during that time period, I was still playing in church, and it was becoming a transition because I was getting ready to stop playing in church. But at the time, one of my good close friends and family friends passed away, like suddenly. He was real young. He was like a year older than me, and at the time, he was like my inspiration in church because I would write like little measures, like, and we would have like a jam session after church because every time I would go, I think that was main reason I would play in church because me and him would just create stuff, and then I would write stuff and he could just pick it up off the bat, and it's like a musician's dream to get somebody you can click with. And when he died, it was like a part of me just it was just such a weird time because me and him never hung out because we were childhood friends but we were never close. But like the last 3 years he was alive, we got real close, and then it was just a lot of people passing away in my family, and I was starting to really get out of the me phase and selfish phase and just thinking about myself and thinking about family. And so I started getting a lot of spiritual clarity. And in that process, while I was in school, I wanted to write as well. And so I at the time, blogs were a thing. Like, 06, 07, it was real popular. Most of it was gossip blogs. And I tried to do that, failed at it. And I was like, I'm not going to write. And then I just was listening to a lot of Bob Marley, And for some reason, the Soul Rebel record kept jumping out at me. It was the words that kept jumping out. It's like, I'm a rebel, a soul rebel, I'm a conqueror, soul adventurer. And it was just those words would just hit me. And then I just I was fasting, and then words, like, it felt like people say God spoke to them. I really felt like it, because it was just like, do this. It's like, go on a fast for 30 days. And it was like, okay, no sugar. And I wasn't even trying to lose weight. It was just stuff telling me to do it. And so I went for 30 days, 60 days. It was like, okay, let me do no meat. It's like, okay, let me do no meat and no sugar. And so I went 90 days. I'm telling you, the last fast day, I just for some reason, kept listening to Soul Rebel. And then one night, I was just dead asleep. I wasn't even thinking about writing. And then all these ideas started coming to me like at 3 or 4 in the morning. Something just told me to get up and start writing. And so I literally wrote down, like, okay, music appreciation. This is what I want to write about. And then I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about. Because I scratched the idea of starting one because I couldn't make the ideas gel together because the concept wasn't coming to me. For some reason, everything started coming to me, and it was all because of that song. And so every time I hear Soul Rebel, it takes me back to the humble beginnings of this journey of being a journalist and musician. So yeah, that's the short story.
Dope. B, what you got up next, brother?
Man, I got my last one is going back to 2004, and I apologize for the change of scenery. I had to go pick my son up, man. He's just coming back from a team bonding joint in California.
It's exactly what we talking about, man. Good parenting. It's all good.
Hey, man, you got to get your priorities straight, man. This podcast is more important than your son.
Hilarious.
So I'm gonna go to March 2004, and the reason that's an important time for me is during the first part of my career, man, I was considered a bust, and I was out of the league for a year in 2000, and I wasn't really sure what was going to happen as far as me being able to play the game, because it was taken away from me. And you know how people always talk about when you play sports, you got to play like it's your last time, and you got to play like you'll never play again. And so I actually lived that. I actually had the game taken away from me. And when I got back in the league, I always vowed to myself that I would never, ever have a game taken away from me. I would leave on my own terms, right? So in 2004, I was fortunate enough to play well, the previous 3 years, and then I was offered a little something, by the Arizona Cardinals, which is why I'm here in Phoenix now to this day. And my whole life changed when I signed that contract, man, because everything just increased. I was blessed with increase, and so all the pitfalls came with it. There were some hard lessons to be learned, and we weren't always best with money. When you ain't had it and then you get it, it's a bit of an adjustment. You know what I mean? So I had to learn some things the hard way, but fortunately enough, they blessed me. I didn't lose it all. And so the song that was popping in March, I remember flying out to Phoenix, was Snoop Dogg's "Drop It Like It's Hot," with the Pharrell beat. You know what I mean? And the song was crazy. All the different sounds that Pharrell was putting on there and the Neptunes. I mean, it was just the song was it was going crazy everywhere. Everybody was playing it, and I'll never forget going up to the office to sign the deal, and that song was in my head. Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. I'm like, this can't be the song,
right,
to this moment, but it was the song. So I wish I could have gone back and revisited the list, because I tried to keep it hip hop, but there was obviously some songs that were not hip hop that really influenced me, but those were still very pivotal moments in my life, and those songs still have an impact to this day, and Drop It Like It's Hot is one of those. I mean, you can play it right now and people gonna still move to it. And you were talking about Kill, those slow beats that people bang to. I mean, people still bang to Drop It Like It's Hot. I mean, you put that on anywhere and people still gonna rock to it. So that was just one of those, and it's one of those that will always stick with me, because it was about to play when I was about to go get that bag. So I had to give it that love. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. That's dope. That's what's dope. And it's dope how you said play each game like it's your last. And like you said, just making sure nobody ever takes the game away from you again. Like, you know, and I mean, bro, we talk about your t-shirt from last week. That's a t-shirt right there. Like, yo, don't let nobody take the game away from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
That's what it's all about. Bro, what you got for your last joint?
I'm going to go, I want to say it's 2018. At the end of every year, our company has a major blast Christmas party where all the family comes, where the spouse comes, and it's an award ceremony. Was that my first year? Second year. Okay, so yeah. So I the previous year, for years there was one guy who was always number one. I got it that one year. And then 18, I got it again, and they had a live band, they were rocking, and they played All I Do Is Win. And the reason why this stands out to me is my man Brian Mixon. Shout out to you, boy. Then when they put it on, you know, I got my trophy and stuff, and I'm chilling. He grabbed me and pulled me out on the floor and was just up, down, up, down. I mean, he was celebrating with me, man. I mean, because in sales, cats don't be like that, man. It's like, you know, hey, good job, but they, you know, secretly hating in a lot of ways. Thankfully, a lot of people at our company are not like that. But I just remember my man B, we on the floor in our tuxes just partying, man, and he celebrating the victory with me, man. And it's 2 years later when he got named a VP. Man, I was the happiest dude in the whole place because I remember that dude rejoicing with me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, All I Do Is Win is the last one for me.
You know what the testament is there, man? Find you some people who celebrate you when you win. Mm-hmm. That's so important to have in your circle. I think, bro, you post something on IG. I'm not big on IG. I like literally just scroll through and roll out. But I think you had a picture of a Range Rover, and it was something like, you know.
Oh yeah.
I was about to call you like, yo, that's the Range. Like, yo, it's like you want people who are genuinely happy for you
man.
When you win in your circle. If you don't have folk in your circle that aren't happy when you win, you got to find a new circle, y'all. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you got to cut them off, because here's the thing. Some things are, you know, instinctual. Some things just happen. Some people have to be taught. Some people don't know how to celebrate on people. Like, I always challenge some of these mothers I work with. That boy father don't know what to do with him. He just don't know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've had to take fathers out from the hood with their kids and with Naomi and kind of show them what to do. Like, you know, everything is instinctual, but, you know, that's what you want to really, really pray for, is that there are people around you that can celebrate you when you're winning. Like, that's important. Those are the people you need to keep in your circle. Yep. Well, congratulations for you. Just signed this guy's first house. Like, that's huge. Like, we've got to learn to celebrate.
Yeah, man.
And I say this on the timeline all the time. Like you said, bro, see, some people, I've been on Twitter 12 years. Some folk only been following me recently. So when I say shit like I got a raise, niggas think I'm trying to flaunt. Nigga, you wasn't following me when I was walking around the mall and I only had enough money to get Naomi something to eat. Nigga, and I ate by going to get the little, what do you call them?
The samplers.
The samplers. I would come in the mall, get a sample each place, then pay for Nate to get something to eat, then get samples. Y'all wasn't here on Twitter for that. So trust me, ain't nobody flossing, nigga. I'm just trying to celebrate with folk. You know, and people know me. If you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm open. You know my wife's name. You know my daughter's name. I tell you the ups and the downs. You know, so please don't nobody ever think I'm trying to floss. I'm nowhere near flossiness. I'm just showing people you can be down and then come up. So, you know, you want to get people around you can celebrate you. Eddie, what you got for your last one, good brother?
All right, my last one, I might have shared with y'all before, but you know, it's a very significant one for me. So my son Gray, he was born November 2014. I think album Black Messiah by D'Angelo came out the very next month. So you know, Gray was one of them babies, like I had to rock him to sleep each and every time. Yep. And so I was just trying, like I had to take him like dark space. So I had to like go in the closet, close the door, make it nice and dark. And the music that always worked was that D'Angelo album. specifically the song "Really Love."
Yeah.
That was the one. That was the one that always put him to sleep. But the problem was, you know how "Really Love" has that build up at the beginning. Like before it gets to the Spanish guitar, right? The song is technically playing, but you're playing it and it's like you can barely hear. So if I almost got him asleep and then I repeat it, and then you get that, which to him probably sounds like silence. So I had to figure out how to cue it up just perfectly after it got done, and I'm doing this on my phone. So cue it up just perfectly to get back to that part. And but yeah, man, I played that a lot, and you know then eventually I was able to, you know, get past that one song and play the whole album when I was putting him to bed. But you know, that album still, you know, every time I play the album, I think of Gray.
Yeah, I could see why, because Gray probably understood what he was saying. You know, because it was like babble. He was babbling. Like,
people keep saying that. I didn't get that from that.
Yo, if you can tell me what he is saying on
which record?
Charade.
If you know 1,000 Deaths.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
Crazy part. They have the lyrics to it, and the people who did the lyrics don't even believe it.
Really? That's my first time hearing that.
Here's the thing with this album, especially with D'Angelo, people can. If we get 8 people in the same room, we're gonna come up with 8 different things. I promise you, we will come up with 8 different things he is saying, and we all gonna be like, no, he's saying this. But I mean, I still love it regardless. I'm a producer, so he can mumble all day long. I'm good with it. But
he only mumbled the only part he mumbled. I think. Well, which one was it? Till it's done. No, till it's done. Because it's a part and it's like dum. Now he did mumble on that part. That's the only part I heard him mumble on was till it's done.
We each will come up with a different song where he mumbled. This is what you will have to teach a master's class. We will have to have an Apartment 5B master's class where you can break down all of these lyrics, because you may just need to get an award if you can literally get D'Angelo to sign off on. It's like almost that website Genius. You know, I know the Genius there is all wrong. So you gotta teach a master class on this joint right here. Rel, what you got for your last joint?
All right, so we go back a couple episodes when the Sixers blew that lead.
Do we have to go back?
No, listen. I don't want to, but yeah, I got to. So
it's all good. It's all good. I'm past it. We getting rid of it, so let's go.
Yeah. I'm a diehard Philadelphia sports fan. Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers. You know what I'm saying? I'm diehard. So if you know, as evident by the past episode when I was depressed. And before I get to the story, I gotta shout out Vern, because you know I was drinking that wine out the bottle on the show and everybody was laughing. Vern actually, you know, sent me, you know, a Cash App to get some more wine, you know what I'm saying? the you know, yeah.
Is it red or white?
Drink away the pain.
Drink away the pain. Vern a real one. Vern a real one for that. So anyway, my moment is when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. When the Eagles won a Super Bowl, you got to understand, if you're an Eagles fan, the pain you have been through dealing with that team. And the heartbreak, the chokes, you know, the bad, you know, you just...
This is just stuff I could just grab, just sitting in the studio. I don't even got to dig for it.
There you go.
It's so, right there.
When the song that was the theme for that team was Dreams and Nightmares, Meek Mill. And I just remember when they were playing in the NFC Championship game against the Vikings, and they played that in the stadium, and it's a video, like the players, they in the crowd, they're going crazy. Like, it was no way the Vikings were going to win that game. It was no way, like how the energy, it was crazy. And that song was their song throughout that playoff run. And you know what I'm saying, when we won, I was in tears. I'm not gonna lie, I was in tears.
Me too, bro.
I was in tears. And
we
I
beat
was
the Patriots, nigga.
the Patriots. For the Super Bowl, the Eagles, everybody, because living out here in Maryland now, you know what I'm saying? I'm here with Redskins, Washington fans, and Dallas fans, and I got some friends that Giants fans, and they always say, well, y'all don't have a ring. So y'all don't, we could be kicked, they could be 2-14, we could be kicking it, but y'all don't have a ring.
Yep.
So you can't say that no more. And I remember we went after the game right out into the street, and everybody was out, and it was just crazy. It was like a crazy feeling, man. It was like one of my happiest days, you know what I'm saying, recently. When they won, man, it was, you know what I'm saying, it was crazy, man. You out there hugging people you never met before. It was crazy. And that song, when that song come on, it was just like, that just embodied the whole run for that team, you know what I'm saying? So that's my last one.
Now, if we could only get Meek Mills to just stay off social media, because he's always trending at least twice a month, and it's never for anything positive.
When I see his name trending, I'm like, I cringe a little bit, because I'm like, oh, it's about to be something crazy.
And I've tried to trade him several times to other cities, and nobody wants to trade for me.
We stuck with him. We stuck with him.
Q-Lin, give them all the information. Where can they get at you? Soul Savviness Radio. Where can we come out and see you performing? Give us everything.
Oh, yes. Soul Savviness Show. You can get that on soulsavviness.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Q-Lin Green. I'm trying to. I haven't been outside for a whole year, so I can't wait till I get my normal routine back of traveling, because this whole COVID thing is messing up a whole lot of stuff. So I'm glad to be back. A lot of my musical colleagues are finally going back on the road, but you can check my Instagram, and you can keep up with what city I'm gonna be in and who I'm playing for.
All right, no doubt. Very dope radio show. CB is off for a second, so I'll come back. B, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You good? Let them know where. Yeah. Where can they get at you, bro?
So you can find me on Twitter. At BTrain9 business, train station 1. Just rock with me. You know what I mean? I'm all about, positivity. Try to put out stuff positive all the time, and I love sports. Former player, so sports is always part of my life. So let's chop it up. Let's do it.
And like I said, B, good looking for chopping it up with us. Like I said, we've been chopping it up for years. Just doing some regular life stuff, just music stuff. So an amazing follow. Vern, let them know if they in ATL, where can they get with the closer, brother?
On Instagram at V the Lone Closer, and on Twitter at VChandler10.
All right, Eddie, where can they get at you, man?
On Twitter at EddieD80, Instagram at Freed Styles, and my website freedstyles.com, where I'm promoting and lifting up independent hip hop artists.
All right, bro, where can they get at you, good brother?
All right, Uptown J Ben on Instagram, JBen215 on Twitter. I listen to Nas, so nothing J. Cole can say go. My head shirt's coming soon.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
There you go. That's got to be it, man. That's got to be it. That's it right there. And y'all already know what me, Kill 889 Twitter, IG, Will Make Beats for Food.com. Me and Vegas's EP, Willmatic, is out right now. Vegas World Inc. Bandcamp.com. All proceeds for people who may not know, Ill Will, Queensbridge legend. If you've ever heard a Nas song, he talks about Ill Will all the time. Nas' best friend is Vegas' cousin. So the whole album is just about Vegas coming to Queensbridge from Brooklyn and everything like that. So again, all proceeds go to his mom's. If you ever heard Second Childhood by Nas, Nas says never curse in front of Miss Versi. That is Ill Will's mom, Vegas' aunt. So all proceeds from any album sales or any shirts, any way that you support is going directly to Miss Versi. So, definitely check it out. I think it's a dope album. We've been blessed to have it shout out from Eddie Portion, a lot of Rel, on a lot of people's top EPs of the year so far. So, definitely check it out. I will check y'all next week, y'all. I appreciate y'all chopping it up with us tonight.
Peace.